Yeah, so this course is very challenging, right? So unlike other courses, you can see that in each chapter you are learning new things, right? There are, the way how we, the things we are doing for account receivable, right? And it's about factors, right? Sales of AR, short-term debt, then revenue recognition, that's totally different thing. And inventory, right? You talk about inventory impairment, write down, right? So there's so many things going on, right? That's why the intermediate financial accounting course is very challenging. This course and also the second one, intermediate financial accounting. This is a very challenging courses. I wish that university could break it into 3 courses actually, but unfortunately, right, the program structure is like that. There's no room for another intermediate financial accounting course. So within a short period of time, right, we have to learn a lot of things. There's no other ways you can deal with this. When I was a student, okay, I put a lot of time to this course. So I know that this is a heavy course, so I didn't take 5 courses for the semester. I think I only take 3 courses in that semester because I know that I have learned that this course is very heavy. If I want to get a grade, very good grade, I have to invest into this course. So this is what I do, right? Because my goal is always to get A and A plus. So I want to make sure anything that under my control, I want to get a perfect mark, right? So for example, Larry's case study, I need to get a perfect mark, right? Because that's the thing is under my control, right? I can get help. I can, do it over and over until I get a perfect mark, right? Because I need to have a good mark. And for chapter quiz, right? I want to study enough to make sure that I'm really ready, right? And even when I'm in the quiz, right, I can spend, there's no time limit, right? So I'm not in a hurry to submit it unless I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, right? So this is all the things that really you need time. And many of the students, they don't have time, right? Because you have a job, you also have, taken too many courses, right? So it's not surprising if you are not doing well, or if you feel that you are not prepared well because you didn't spend enough time. So I would, like when I was a student, I would pick up these problems, right, in the textbook. I would do the problem one after another. Okay, that's how much time I spent. Because nothing can help you learn other than practice, right? There's a saying, practice makes perfection, right? That's the only way you can learn, right? So if you understand me in my lecture, that's only the first step, right? So when I'm explaining things, when I'm telling things, you understand, that's only the first step. Okay, that's a good start. But in order to make the knowledge to be your own, you have to go through this learning process, right? You have to reinforce the different connections in your mind, right? You have to build like a neutral pathwork in your mind, connecting all these new concepts you learned, right? So the only way you can have that pathwork built up is by practicing and practicing, right, on the questions. If you only listen to other people explaining and you understand, that's not yours, right? It's only after you do a problem on your own, okay, from the beginning to the end, you figured out all the ins and outs, and that's the time you become owned it, okay? So, when I remember my father has a big influence on me. When I was in junior high school, I was in a math class, right? I feel like I understand everything that the teacher has taught. I thought, well, I can do very well in the exam, but every time in the exam, I did poorly. So I don't know why. I said, well, I understand everything the teacher said in the class, but somehow when I have to do the problem on my own, I start to forget about this, I forget about that. and you know, I miscalculated this, I miscalculated that. And my father, he is a math teacher, so he told me that, you know what you need? You need more practice. Okay, you need more practice. So then he gave me. I started working on every problems in the textbook. Okay, and then since then I was always good at math because I put enough effort practicing. So this is the trade-off, right? If you want to get a good mark, you really learned it, you have to practice, right? How many questions you have done after each chapter, right? So, you know, there are not a lot of questions, the medium level or the low difficulty level. So, you know, if you start picking up those questions and do it on your own, and I already promised you guys that if you do practice, you don't have a solution, but you send to me, I can check your solution against the answer, right? So you can get feedback through me, right? So, you know, but so far nobody have approached me with a question, you know, they worked on, saying, you know, professor, I worked on this problem, can you please check if I have the right solution? Nobody, you know, from the class has ever approached to me. Okay, so, you know, in the sense that eventually you own your own learning experience, right? If you want to get A plus, no doubt you need to put more effort, right? If you are busy, you have a full-time job, and you are taking 6 courses, you don't have time to study for this, that's fine. But then you just have to adjust your expectation, right? You just have to adjust your expectation, because the amount of knowledge is overwhelming we are learning from this course. Okay, that's just the nature of the course, right? You just have to need time to work on it and to digest all this knowledge, right? There's no shortcut, right? Yeah, so some of the students who did really well in this course, I noticed that they practice a lot. Like I can see how much they practiced on the my lab before they are taking the quiz, right? So eventually, I think there is a positive association between your mark and the amount of effort you put in, okay? So my suggestion is, if you want to be a CPA, and if you believe, if you agree, this is one of the most important courses to you, then you're gonna give enough effort, enough attention to this course, right? If you have other subjects, business laws, marketing, right, other stuff, I'm not saying they're not important, right? But you keep in mind that you'll be an accountant, right? So how you want to allocate your time, you just have to be smart, right? Like for me, like if I realize I don't have enough time, I only take 3 courses. I'm not taking 5, right? But I believe you have a strong reason for taking 5 and taking a full-time job, and that's fine, but you don't have enough time to study for it. I can guarantee it for sure that's the case, yeah? So then your performance may suffer. That's just the fact you have to accept, right? It's your choice. You have to trade off your mark with the other things in your life, right? If you want to finish your degree earlier, you want to, you know, get some paychecks, you have to work, right? Unfortunately, that's life, right? We all have to trade off things all the time, make decisions. Okay, so I don't know if this can help you or not, but, you know, I did really well. I got an A for this course. I got A plus for the 3101, okay? I put a lot of effort. All my quizzes, assignment, I get 100%. My lyrics, I get 100%, right? That's the part I can control. It would be stupid for me not to get 100%, right? Because I don't have control over the midterm exam and the final exam, right? It only makes me comfortable when I realize that even I get like 70% in the final, I still get an A overall for the course. But I have to make sure I scored really high in the beginning, right? So I have a much relaxed final exam period. So I will calculate, I only need 70% to get an A. So then I'm very relaxed for my final exam period, right? I don't have to study that hard, crazy.
Professor,
Yeah.
So about how many hours could you spend on this course before?
So
About how
basically,
many hours?
yeah. So basically, what I
Mm,
would do, for example, right? I talked about the revenue recognition, right? So in chapter 4, I would go back to the exercise questions, right? And onerous contracts, right? I would do at least 3 or 4 questions for each topic.
for each objects,
Yeah,
right?
because there
Mm,
are like,
okay.
for example, chapter 4, there are like how many questions? There are 50 questions. You may not have question time to do everything, but you pick up
Yeah.
something like similar to the examples in my class, right? So then do it on your own. That would be a good way to test you, see if you really understand it, right? You
Yes.
often you realize
Okay.
you are disconnected somehow in some step, and that's the time you are learning. You are truly learning. Okay, so for example, problem 4-43, accounting for long-term contract with expected loss, right? So if you see how much time I put in a lecture to explain onerous contract, then it's really fair if you do like 4 or 5 questions to practice on your own. Then you really know it, right? And then in the midterm exams, you will not be struggled with it, right? Um, but if you just saying, if you are just happy that, oh, I understand what he's saying in the class, that's not enough because you still haven't owned the knowledge yet, right?
Yes.
Because in the exam, I'm not going to sit beside you going through everything logic by logic, right? You have to have this logic process in your own mind. How can you
Yeah.
have that logic process in your mind? By practice. That's the only.
That's the repeated.
Yeah, because for anything
Repeated
mechanical,
the question.
yes, exactly. So keep in mind, for your general learning tip, right? There are 2
Yeah.
general categories. Things that are repetitive, mechanical, right? Maybe math,
Yeah.
maybe physics, chemistry, all these science classes. You have to practice. If you practice enough,
Okay.
and make sure that you will be a good student in these topics. Another category is about the creativity. Okay, let's say arts, language, right, and writing, all this stuff, um, literature, right, and what other some kind of social science subjects, right. In that case, you have to read a lot. Okay, it's quite simple because in order to be creative, you have to have a lot of things in your mind. You have to fill up your tank, right? Otherwise, there's no water coming out of it. So how can you fill up your tank, right? You don't want to be empty-handed, right? Headed, right? So you have to read a lot, right? How to be a good writer? You have to read a lot, right? Pick up your favorite novel. That's how you improve your writing skills, right? Because what else you can do to improve your writing skills? You have to read a lot. Why some people have a lot of ideas, right? You could get ideas from other people's book, right? If you don't have enough experience, if you don't travel a lot, you don't see the world a lot, right? Then you better read from other people's experience, right? So those are the things. So if you want to do well academically, the formula is very simple. For mechanical things, practice. And for creativities, you have to learn from other people, right? Read other people's book. If you are designing a logo, if it's art design, then you have to study other people's design, right? If you are a painter, you are artist, you have to go to museum a lot, right? Just to see how other people's work is like, right? Give you some inspirations, right? So anyhow, it takes effort. Okay, if you don't put
Yeah.
effort, I guaranteed, unless you are super genius, right? If you don't put effort, you won't learn it. But if you are following my general tape, you'll be doing really well. But you have to put the effort. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
my
Okay.
tape for study. So I was lucky because my parents, they are very generous, so they paid for my education. So that freed me up a lot with a lot of time. So I don't have to, get a part-time job to earn money. So I can focus on study, right? So think about the trade-off between short term versus long term, right? In the short run, you don't make as much money, but you use all your time to get all your good GPAs, right? In the long run, right, your knowledge you learned will help you get a better job. You get a better pay in the future. So it's all about the trade-off. It's a short term versus long term, right? It's your choice, right? Some people, they have no options, right? They don't have student loan. They have no family support. They have to take a part-time job, right? But for some other people, if you have the option, right, I would rather take more student loans and then buy my time. So then I use all my time for studying, okay? Because this is a time for me to study. And once I'm done, that's the time I get my CPA. That's the time for me to make money, right? So, everyone is in a different situation, but I'm lucky, right? My parents are very generous. They support me all the way through that. Yeah, so I'm talking a little bit more and, because I understand this is a very challenging course, okay? If you put enough effort, practice lots of questions, you will learn it. Tim, I think you practice a lot. Tim, do you work on a lot of questions?
Not
No?
not a lot, but
Yeah.
I do like the omnibus contract that you mentioned. Yeah, that one, because I hear that you stressed over it many times, so I kind of sense that that's gonna come up in the exam. So for that one, I spent some time
Yeah.
on
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. And another thing for people to learn in general is focusing on the mistakes you made, okay? Some people get, let's say you get 98% in the exam. You are super happy, right? You don't care, right? I got 98. But you really should pay attention to that 2% you lost, okay? That's where you learn. You have to think about, why I lost that 2%, because that's where you are learning, right? That 98%, you know it already, right? Doesn't matter. But the 2%, that why you didn't do it well, you have to learn that, because that's the benefit of the exam. Otherwise, the exam is useless to you. It's just a way for you to know, I know all this, okay? But the true benefit is the exams help you to see where you are not doing well and make sure you understand, right? So it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to ignore it, okay? So that's the difference between the 0.1%. Some people are top 5%, others are top 1%, top 0.1%, right? The difference is their attitude towards the mistakes they are making, okay? Some people, they get 99%, but they study really a lot after the exam, they want to understand what I did wrong to lose that 1%, right? So that is about attitude, right? And some people don't care. They get 20% and they're happy, okay? It's interesting. I posted the video about the multiple choice questions and also the answer, right? And also the component 2, right? The questions people didn't do well, okay? And then I can see how many people viewed the video, right? Not many people viewed that video. I found that's quite interesting. So because it's over, right? Midterm is over, you get your mark already. So that question is not important anymore, right? You don't want to learn it, even you didn't do well in the midterm exam. See, what about, coming to university? It's about your learning, right? And we do have to come up with evaluation systems, give you a mark, right? But on essence, it's really about your learning, right? In the future, will you be able to do the job at the workplace, right? It's really about your learning, right? And you'll be tested again in the CPA exams. So how come you don't care about how well you do it? If I reviewed component 2 of the midterm exam, right? You should really watch that video to understand, okay, what is the real answer? Why I was wrong, right? But it's interesting. Before the exam, people was like spending hours watching all different videos, right? But then after the exam, they didn't do well, but they're okay. They can live it. So I don't think that's a good attitude to learn. Okay, you may not change your midterm grade by rewatching that video, but you do learn by watching that video, right? You learn from your mistakes, right? We have to learn from my mistakes. So another reason why you are practicing, right? Practicing is kind of like your own exams, right? So it's your own mini exams. Every time you practice is your own mini exam. So then you didn't do well, then you want to know where what did wrong, right? And then you can learn, right? And then in the midterm exam, in the final exams, right, you already fail all these loopholes, and then you will not fall into the trap in the midterm or final exams, right? So make sure we all learn from the mistakes you made, right? Don't ignore the things you did wrong, because if you ignore it, you are not learning, okay? Okay, I
Thank you.
It's very useful. I decided to choose less courses next term.
Pardon me?
Yeah. I decided to choose less courses next term because I choose 4, and
Yeah.
I think it's too intensive for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any background on the business courses, and also pretty, the English learning is still I still improve my English, so
Yeah.
I think yes, I need to choose less courses next term, and
Yeah.
I think I will use the student loans.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
to
So you
release some financial stress. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you had to make the decision, right? But what's the most important for you, right? Your GPA is always with your transcript, right? So if you make like $20, $25 per hour, right? If you use that hour, if you pay $25 to buy that hour, and using that 1 hour you practice the questions, you get higher GPA. I mean, to me, that's the most valuable thing for you, right? For the $20, you can make it up in the future, right? If you get a good job, you have a GPA, you have a better chance to get a good mark. So you have to trade off short term versus long term, right? So if you have the option, I would highly recommend you to. Your most valuable thing as a student is to your time. Your time. I think your group is a more mature group. Many people are working very hard. The younger kids, right? They have time, right? Come on, unless you tell me that you didn't do social media. How many times students are using social media, Facebook, all this stuff, right? Posting, watching those short videos. How many times people do it? Let's just be honest, right? For mature adults, you are having so many courses, you are having a part-time job. I believe if you are serious about your learning, I believe you don't have a lot of time to do those things. But for young kids, for younger students, wow, I won't be surprised if they spend 4 hours in total every day to use a cell phone to the screen thing, right? So if people complaining to me that they don't have time to study, okay, then you have to tell me first you absolutely don't use social media, okay? So then why do you think social media is more important than your study? This is the time for you to study for your future. Once you get your CPA, you can do whatever you want, right? You get a job, you do 10 hours social media every day. That's fine, right? You can sustain yourself. But right now, why would you do that? This is the best time for you to learn, right? Why would you spend so much time doing social media? And then guess what? Later on, you don't have a good GPA. You have to take a very low-paid job, right? And then you work longer hours in your future, okay? When I was a kid, my high school, 3% enrollment admission to the senior high. So we were in junior high, only 3% of students can go to senior high for further education. There are a lot of drama shows that we were young kids, we really like to watch. My father forced me, you're gonna study, don't watch it, okay? Only when you put enough effort, you'll be stand out from the group. you will move to the high school, right? And then you can do whatever in the future, right? So right now I'm a professor. I have a lot of time, okay? I can watch whatever I want to watch. I don't have to work very, very hard, right, to make make money to support myself, right? My students who didn't work hard when they are a kid, now they are suffering. Now they are working for a very low paid job. They don't have time to watch. They don't have time to watch anything right now. Okay. So again, short term versus long term. If you are young students, so stop using your social media, right? Save the time to improve your GPA, right? And then once you get your CPA, you have a stable job, then you do whatever you want, right? You do social media, you know, you have time at that time, right? So, but I have respect for all jobs, right? But think about it. If you always earn the minimum wage, right, in your whole life, that won't be very fun, right? So you have to trade off like a temporary sacrifice of your leisure, right? Your entertainment for a long term, right? For a long term better life. Okay, so I just want maybe give you some encouragement. So the course is hard because you didn't put enough effort. Okay, so if my talk is irrelevant to the other students, I'm sorry. But now let's talk about the case. Okay, case 2. How do you guys want to go ahead with this?
So maybe I don't know, like the other group. I think you had the other group first, right? With this meeting set up first. So do you guys have a list of questions that you want to ask Professor first, and then maybe if we have overlapping questions, then I'll just reduce mine.
Yeah, we just don't know how to start.
Okay. So this case is definitely different from the last case, right? In the CPA exam, all the cases are different, right? They are testing you on different things. So I'm trying to give you this variety, right? So because I think it's easier to give you a similar case, but that limits your experience. I try to give you more experience with different cases. So this case is about a review engagement. Okay, it's about a review engagement. So in the last case, it's about this people is giving advice to the client, right, directly, right? In this case, you are the role for the you are assigned with the role of maybe what's the role? The role is okay. Let me see. Maybe like a accountant in a accounting firm, right?
CA.
Yes.
Yeah. And then who are you talking to? You are preparing a report? Which report is addressed to?
To the partner.
To the partner, right? So you are not talking to the client directly, right? You are communicating with the partner, right? So see, that's kind of interesting. Then that totally changes your communication, right? A lot of things you can talk to your partner, but you cannot say to your client, right? It's kind of like you and the partner are in your own umbrella group, right? Bubble. Your company is taking the risk, right? If the client's issue caused wrong decision made by the bank, right? Because you issued a review report, something like that, then your company is responsible, is taking some risk, okay, for giving a wrong opinion about the client's financial reports, right? But you and the partner, you are on the same boat, right? You are the service provider, okay? So then a lot of things you can say frankly, honestly with the partner, right? But in the client, when you communicate, you have to be careful, right? What do you want to say? What you should not say, right? Maybe when you talk to the partner, you can brainstorm, right? You can think about the possible situations, right? But to a client, you may not talk that unless you have some strong evidence to back it up, right? So any communication to the client, it should be more formal than the communications to your own people, to partner, right? If you say something wrong, the partner will not hold anything against you, right? There's no business risks because you are in the same group, you are doing that. Okay, so in this case, what do you see the major issue?
So this one is after chapter 6 is all about inventory.
Okay, very good. Yeah, it's about the inventory, right? The major issue is about the inventory. Can you tell from the information given?
Yeah, I can solve some problems, like the conversation between the person and Max.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Max said, in order to keep the ship cost down, every time they ship a lot, a whole bunch of their supplies to their clients to reduce the shipping cost.
Mm-hmm.
So that causes a problem is because the supply can last for 1 year for the client. So that will cause a problem like what's the fair market value for their inventory, and also sitting there too long. It also have another problem is the shrinkage, theft, yeah, like that. And they also use the on-site meter reading to match to recognize their revenue. I think is that accurate? I don't know how they, yeah, that's what I can thought.
Okay, I see. Yeah, very good point. So basically, this case have a lot of more information than the previous case, right? So again, I'm trying to give you some of the varieties, right? You can see cases all different, right? And so in this case, you see a lot of quantum numbers, right? So how do I know inventory is one of the most important thing based on the information provided? Claire's picked up some of the conversations with the client, right? That's absolutely correct. Can we see the importance of inventory from the numbers?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, if you go to page 301, right? There is this preliminary balance sheet, right? So, and then if you look at this financial statement, you would see that the total asset for 2020 is $448,000, right?
400. Yeah.
448,505.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the total amount of assets, right, for the company. And what is the inventory? The inventory is 234,365, right? So that's like more than 50% of the total asset is inventory. Yeah, so inventory is very important, right?
Yeah.
So if you did something wrong with the inventory, the implications will be huge, right? So that if something wrong here, it's gonna influence the decision maker's decision, right? So if you are trying to review this financial statement, and we have to give opinion, that's really important. This is a very high risk area for the inventory, okay? Before I talk anything further, I just want to give you some information in case you don't know. There are 3 levels of engagement. The first one is called NTR, notice to reader. Notice reader, the accountant does not give any opinions, okay? So basically, they just, prepared this, this financial statement, and they are not giving any level of assurance. Okay, so the next level is called a review engagement. So review engagement, you are doing some kind of work, okay, to provide some media level of assurance. Okay, the highest level is audit. Audit provides highest level of assurance. Okay, so for review engagement, okay, provides the media level of assurance. Then you have to conduct some kind of procedures, review procedures, to make sure this balances make sense, right? So for inventory, you have to think about it, right? You know, is this number reasonable? Is this number correct, right? Those are the things they have to think about it. And for review engagement, you know, the accountant have to give opinion, right? And the bank is gonna rely on the accountant's opinion to make a decision whether they are going to give the loan to the company, right? So there is a business risk for the accounting firm, okay? If they issue a wrong opinion on the financial statement, and as a result, the bank make a wrong lending decision, okay? The bank can sue the company. The bank can sue the accounting firm, okay, for issuing the wrong opinion, okay? So there is this business risk involved. So when the accountant are doing this review work, they have to see where are the risks comes from. And apparently the inventory, right, that takes up more than 50% of total asset. That will be one of the major areas the accountant will pay attention to, right? Okay, so even in the future, when you are accountant, how are you gonna know, right? You don't know this is from the chapter 6, but you pick up the financial statement, you just take a look at the balance for each account, right? And when you take a look at the inventory, you'll be like, wow, this is a large balance. So this is considered as very mature. You want to pay more attention to this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is another way to tell the inventory is important. Okay, so what else? Anyone else have any comments?
Yeah, I have some questions here. Maybe I'll just go over them with you.
Sure.
So yeah, regarding for this review, is there a certain format that we should do it like? Should we break it down to each company? Like, should we review
So
each
think about
company
that, right?
or
Yeah, think about it. You are writing to your partner, okay? So with respect, you want to prepare your information in a way that it was very understandable. It's concise, right? If you really want to impress your partner, right? Because you want to have a career development, right? So as a subordinate in the company, as an entry-level accountant, I think we all want to impress our partner, right? So then keep that in mind, right? Your partner is very busy, right? What you want to do is you present your information in a way that your partner got it, right? It's pretty straightforward. You don't want your partner spend an hour to figure out what you are trying to say. It's very expensive. The partner can charge $500 to $600 on client an hour, right? So, you know, they didn't tell you to use a specific format, but this is the communication, right? You want to make sure that the information you communicate with the partner has to be really clear, straightforward, and easy to understand. The easier you make it, the happier your partner will be, and maybe you have a better chance to be promoted. But let's just make saying that this is one of the professional skills required, right? As an accountant, you have to have the good ability, communication skills, right? So forget about your promotion opportunities. Just thinking as a professional, you need to have a very good communication skills. So I won't tell you anything saying you have to follow this format, and you want to be creative, and your objectives is that I want to make sure my partner, right, got it right away, right? Whatever the point I'm trying to get across, you know, the way I'm doing it now is pretty clear. You have to convince yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it still 1,000 words limit this time?
This time will be 1,500.
1,500. Okay.
Yeah.
1,500. And would the diamond approach still be applicable this time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever you see fit, right? So I'm not asking you to do everything with diamond approach. Whenever you see the room for alternatives, right? Then use that diamond approach to discuss. That really make you sound professional. Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to make sure that there's a room for discussion, right? If there's no room for discussion, then it just feels weird, right? You have to come. So when you observe, when you believe that, oh, you know, maybe two methods would work here. Maybe revenue recognition could at this point, could I be this point, right? And you present that two alternatives. And then you are saying, oh, guess what? This approach is more conservative. I would think this is a better approach, right? Yeah.
Okay. So you would like us to say, like, I recommend this, blah blah blah, like again?
No, you are talking to the partner. Okay, so you are talking to the partner. You want to bring him attention to certain issues, and definitely it's helpful to share your opinion, right? But you probably want to say I recommend. Maybe you can. I don't know. Like when you talk to a client, it sounds like I recommend, right? But for partner, I think he is smart enough as soon as you start laying out the options, and maybe you can saying, you know, maybe this option, I would choose this option, something like that, right? So
okay.
But keep in mind who you are talking to. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Should I just keep asking, or do you guys have other questions?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So when we looked at the gross margin by product, we noticed that the cost of sales are overstated. I'm not sure, because the way we calculated this was we multiplied the kilograms sold by the average cost for that product.
Yeah, you don't have to be to give the full information because the video will be shared by the whole class. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe people will free ride on your answer.
What
I can say is I can tell you this.
Right method.
I got your question. I can tell you this. There are ways you can figure out your gross profit. Okay. And if you identify certain inconsistency, then what that lead you to think about, right?
Okay.
That's the way you should do it. And then you want to discuss about it. Okay. This is kind of a week for review engagement. You can perform something called analytical procedure, right? So you can analyze your profit. So let's not talk about how to do it. That's the group member's job to figure that out. Using that, you find out some inconsistency, right? And then that's basically the major procedures, the review engagement. They use these analyticals to analyze the number. They identify areas that now seems to be correct. And then you want further look into it, what happened, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. How about the tank? It takes 4 weeks to refill the tank. For this part, yeah, is it the same for all machines? Is that something that you can?
Very good, right? Right on. You are right on the point, right? This is something you want to ask, right? You don't have information, so you should bring this attention to the partner. But you want to make sure, you know, if the rate is all the same, right? What I mean, if the rate is not the same, what's the implications, right? So you can
Okay.
say, the assumption is this, but in the real life, this may not be right, and how that's going to affect the numbers, right? Things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
Okay.
whatever, like when you are in a regular typical exams, you say, oh, teacher, you didn't give us this information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like, oh, I had to need this information to solve this problem. But in the real life, right? In the real life, often you notice that, guess what? I need more information, right? So sometimes you just have to call the client, right? Sometimes you need to have some assumptions debate. So very good. So you identify the point. So that's a discussion point. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Discussion point. And regarding the perpetual and periodic system, can you have like one system for one company and then one system for another company, or that doesn't work?
Periodical system, perpetual system. So you should have only using one system. This is your accounting policy, right? You cannot cherry pick using one system for one company, use a different system for another company.
Okay. Okay.
Because that's your accounting policy, right? You have to apply your accounting policy consistently across all your clients.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. And then, yeah, regarding the balance sheet, we notice that the cash balance is is it zero or negative?
Negative. There's the bank overdraft.
Okay. Okay. So that's something for discussion then, right? That part.
Yeah, exactly, right? What does that speaks of the company, right? What are some of the concerns? What may happen to the company? What is the risks for the accounting firm for taking this engagement, right? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then I guess, yeah, the last question we have was, is it better to use the meter method or the one-off shipping method to, because one client is still not using the meter method. So
Well, that's not your job, right?
that's
It's
another
it's
I
a
guess.
decision made by the company, right? You are reviewing whatever the numbers on the financial reports. So in terms of the business practice, unless you are an advisor, right? If I'm an advisor, the company hire me to help them to decide which way of the operation is better. So that's a totally different engagement, right? So I can be a consultant. They hire me, and they say, I have two options: using meter or using the other way, right? And I give them advice, opinions, right? That's a consultant job. Now you are hired to review the financial reports, right? The numbers are there. I don't think it's your job to tell them, hey, don't use meter, right? I don't think that's your job.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
No problem. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's all of our questions.
Okay. Anyone else?
Professor,
Yeah.
I have a question about the exhibit 4, the table, and why the return earnings are in the income statement. Is a special format or the draft format thing, or it's an issue that we should discuss?
Oh, so it's continued, right? If you take a look.
Oh, it's continued.
Oh, sorry. Number.
The exhibit table 4 and table 4.
Okay.
The first party.
Yeah, I got your point. These are not the formal financial statements. Okay, these are they call it draft financial statements. So basically, they are trying to.
So it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, normally you are not presenting like this, right? But they are trying to give you information about the closing return earnings, because that number is going to go to the balance sheet, right? They are just showing you that what's the closing return earnings.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you can say that's a problem, but is that a major problem, right? Is that a minor issue or major issue, right? So in the CPA exam, the case could have hundreds of issues. You have to pick most important issues, because you may only have 60 minutes or 90 minutes to work on one case. You have to identify these issues, and then you have to, top list which one is more important. Make sure you spend time on the most important issues. And in this case, it's the inventory, right? In this case, it's the inventory.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. So then you think about it, right? In terms of inventory valuation, right? What are the informations in the case has pointed you to a direction that there may be a inventory valuation issues, right? How about cost of goods sold, right? And like things like that, right? So yeah, so like you just have to focus on the major points, like the big items.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And there's one thing I want to help you guys. So the company, there's one company, Scorched Earth Mine, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to pay attention to that company. Scorched Earth Mine, okay? We have a low-level inventory on site, okay? So that means they are using a lot, right? Because they just delivered August 25th, right?
Oh, yes.
So that means they are using a lot. But then they are reporting a low meter readings. They are using the meter readings, right, to monitor the usage of the lubricant. So the information is not consistent, because it seems like they are using the inventory very quickly, right? But by the same time, the meter readings is very low. So if you use if you go through a lot of lubricant, your readings number should be high, right? Because it should be consistent with the usage.
So,
but so what is happening, right? What is happening there? Maybe you should talk about it, right? Maybe you should talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And like Tim said, the cash number is bank overdraft. What happened, right? So what's the company's objective? And if there are some issues you identified, how that impact the company's cash, their objectives, right? So everything is together. So you don't want to paste out these issues separately. Keep that, make it cohesive, right? So if this is an issue, how this issue is going to affect the cash, right? And how that is going to affect the reporting objectives of manager. If there's a misstatement, is that maybe a purpose misstatement, right, or not? You are, because you are talking to the partner, right? You can feel free to talk to the partner. But if you talk to a client, you won't say it, right? You have to be really careful, right? So keep in mind who is your audience. Yeah, that's very important. Who is your audience, right? Keep that in mind when you are writing your case. Okay. So I'm expecting some kind of calculation, not a lot, but there are some kind of calculations I'm expecting. And I'm expecting some kind of adjustment, okay? and this is a quantified, and you have to be able to quantify it. Okay, if you are suggesting certain adjustment, and what the amount of adjustment. In this case, you were provided enough information to do some calculations. Okay, so you are expected to quantify certain adjustment.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. So if you, even though this is a chapter 6, whenever you are doing a case, always think about the revenue recognition, because that's a very, very important topic, right? So for any case, you want on your checklist, make sure you give at least maybe a 1 minute thought. Is there potential discussions about the revenue recognition, right? So because that's always a very important topic, okay?
Okay.
And you were provided with 2 years information, right? Based on the analysis, right? Maybe you see some kind of trend change because of new policies, new implications. So you want to also bring attention to those things because those can be very risky areas, right? So the key is, the accounting firm is taking some risk by working with this client, right? Accounting firm, the risk is about their opinion risk. They have to provide an opinion to the financial report. If the opinion is wrong, the bank is using that opinion to make a lending decision. If things turn out to be really ugly, then the bank can sue your accounting company, right? So there are risks for the accounting review engagement on its own, okay? Any other questions you have?
No, I don't have any question for now.
Yeah. So basically, this is on your hand, right? Whatever you see that is mature, important, you think the partner should know, then bring attention to him, right?
Yeah, okay.
So the question is very simple. You have all this information. You can perform certain analysis. Okay, then you tell, you share with your partner what your concerns are, right? So, and if you do a good job, your partner will be happy, right? So, yeah. So make sure you are speaking to the partner.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I think I'm good now.
Okay.
I will try to have a draft today.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Thank you very much too.
Thank you.
That helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Declan, do you have any question?
No, I was just listening. I had the same questions as
okay.
Ruby and Claire. They're in my group, so.
Okay, I see. Does that helps clarify certain things?
Yes,
Yeah, very helpful.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting case, okay? Because you also need to do a little bit of analytical, procedures to analyze some information. Because you were given a lot of information in this case, right?
Yeah, so
something,
don't know how to start.
Yeah, in the exam, in the CPA exams, you may see similar cases like this, okay?
Oh.
Yeah. So all I'm doing is trying to expose you to with a variety of cases. So the more you see, you know how to deal with it. You have less work in the future, right? Eventually you want to get your CPA.
Yeah.
For the adjustments and the calculations that we do, is it okay to put a table in our memo to the partner? Or is that not necessary?
Yeah. So do you think your partner will be okay with the table?
Yes.
Yeah. So then just put a table,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. So don't think about me. I'm a professor. I'm evaluating your student project, right? You are writing to a partner. So,
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
some students made mistakes in the CPA exams because sometimes they were confused with who they are and who they are writing to, right? So that communication can be very different, okay?
Right.
So make sure, if anything else, you make sure you pick it up who you are and who you are writing to, okay? And think about what's the objectives of your client, okay? And think about your risk, right? Because yeah, you want to make money, you take the client for money, but there's a risk you are bearing, right? So have to think about what's your risk, okay? And then use all the information, right? Use all the information provided. So whenever you make a point, try to link to the case fact, right? If there is no case fact and you are confused, then you talk to the partner. Your partner, I don't know, are the usage rate all the same for all the companies, right? That's a very good question. I don't have information now, but I want, bring your attention to that issue, right? So if you think it's important question, but you don't have the case information to support you, then make it a question, right? Leave it as something maybe you want your partner to be aware, and make sure if there are some important issues, you need to make a notes for your client to investigate, right?
Right. Okay.
So just think about it, right? You are trying to solve a problem, right? And there are things like the company and the partner and right, the accounting standard reviewing. So you're just trying to analyze the case information, and try to do the job communicate to your partner. Some partner need to be aware of something. The client maybe need to do something, right? They need to investigate something, right? So, but don't say something that unwarranted, right? So don't make up things. So
Okay.
and don't say it with confidence, right? If you don't know, don't say it with confidence. Just because one of the professionalism is about integrity, right?
Right.
If you don't know, don't say it. This is something maybe we need to pay attention. We can ask more information, and then the client maybe have to investigate, right? So you don't have to pretend you know everything, right? But if the information is complete, and you have to know a lot of things. Otherwise, why would they pay you, right? So on the items then you can speak in confidence, right? Have a good diamond approach discussion, right? But on things that is kind of obscure, you don't want to speak with confidence. Just make it a note like, oh, this is something I want you to be aware as a partner, and maybe the client can investigate into this situation, and we need to have more information, right?
Right.
Then this is something we wish the client to do. If the client don't do it, what we should do? What's our position? So you just really immerse yourself in that context that you are working for that company. Okay, don't think you are the student.
Okay.
You are the accountant. You are going to submit this to the partner. Okay, I'm the partner. So don't think about the student professor.
Okay. And you're structuring it in the way of whether or not it's a good idea to take on this review engagement to protect the company, like the accounting firm you work for. That's kind of the main way that you're structured.
I think it's a partner's decision, right?
Okay.
But for you do want to flag it out, right, on clients that are totally unacceptable, right? But the decision would be the partner. And then if the partner will take this client, right, and there are some important issues, right, at least you hope the partner to be aware, right?
Yeah.
So to reduce the risk, right? So you don't want to say, I suggest don't take this client. period. So, right? And then the client is okay. If the partner is like, okay, if you are a boss, that's okay. But now you are sending me a report. You tell me that I don't to take this client. Who is the real boss? Okay. But you have to provide analysis. Why? Right?
Okay.
And if you think, the risk is still okay, and but there are definitely things like we have to be careful. What are these things? If there are adjustment has to be made, right? Do a rough calculation what this adjustment should be, and then you want to also qualify your statement by saying, right, this is your assumption. If the assumption is different, things may change. What are we gonna do? So just be really like try to be really accurate the way that you are professional and you know the stuffs and you have the integrity. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's it for my questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much for giving us the time today.
No problem. And Ruby and Tim, you guys okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think we're
Thank
good.
you.
Too. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So make sure you read the case, multiple times, right? If you only read it one time, sometimes because you only have so many like a memory, like you have so many working memory.
Short memory.
Yeah, short memories, and you always learn new things while you read it again, right? Maybe that's my experience, right? For the same information, the first time if you get 50%, that's a lot. But if you read again and again, you pick up all the details, right? You can making some connections. So make sure you would read at least twice or 3 times of the case, right? So then you can maybe have a better understanding of the situation.
Okay. Thank you.
This is an interesting case, right? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think
it's really cool. It's something brand new for me anyway. So
yeah,
very cool to learn about it.
Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting one, and inventory, right? And they are going to deal with the common inventory issues, right? So okay, so yeah, so I think that's quite a bit. Hopefully you will do a good job, okay, on this one.
Okay. I will make an effort.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a great
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, good day.
Okay, bye.
Bye.